to the Beard Speaks podcast. All right, guys, what's going on? Welcome to another episode of the Beard Speaks podcast. That's right, man. Hey, I have got an amazing show for you guys today. So today, my guest, Domenic Certa. That's right, man. Another paisan from Self-Achievement Network. You guys are going to love this episode. I've been waiting for a long time to have Domenic on my show. I actually was a guest on his show probably 2 years ago. Probably it was before I started the Beard Speaks podcast. That's right. And we talked a lot about self-achievement, a lot about empowering yourself, just, bringing out the best out of human beings, man. And that's what it really is all about. So I got a great show coming up. But before we get there, that's right, check out www.thebeardspeakspodcast.com. Check us out because there's links there for all our social media platforms, man. We're TikToking, man. We're making that shit happen. That TikTok is getting a little bit better, right? So get on the TikTok. We're on Instagram, YouTube. So I got videos coming out on YouTube. And, I'm taking my time kind of getting in there, making some video content for you guys, reviewing some beard products, reviewing some everyday just products for, stuff that we use for life, man. And nobody is sending me this stuff for free, guys. I buy it, stuff I use, and I just report it back to you guys and say, hey, yeah, man, this is good. Or this ain't good, right? Does it work? Does it do what they say it's supposed to do? Because, we're spending our hard-earned money on this stuff, man. So go check that out. Go to www.thebeardspeakspodcast.com. Remember, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, X, was that Twitter before? Whatever, man. Tweet. There it is, man. So go check us out there. And if you have any ideas for the show that you would like to hear, something you want me to review, shoot me an email. thebeardspeakspodcast@gmail.com. That's right. So, hey, man, where can you hear the Beard Speaks podcast? I don't know. You guys tell me where you guys are checking it out because I can see the analytics and I'm loving it. So you can get us at Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Podcast Index, Overcast, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, TuneIn Radio, Podcast Addict, Castro, Castbox, Podchaser, Pocket Cast, Deezer, Listen Notes, Player FM, Good Pods, and Podfriend. I used to smoke many years ago. I'm amazed I could do that all in almost one breath. The lungs are kicking, man. Quit smoking out there, all you young people. It's not good for you, man. Not good for you. So, I want to do a shout out. Thank you very much to everyone who has been coming and checking out the show, sharing the show, the link out to your friends, people who are interested in the show. Please share it to them. And thank you guys very much. And just shout out. I love to get on here, check out who's coming on the show, city to city to city. And it's amazing how it grows from city to country. And I love it, man. So big shout out to everyone in Lancaster, Ohio, Chicago, Illinois, Knoxville, Tennessee. Who else we got here? Cedar Falls, Iowa. Yeah, look at this. Center Reach in New York. Houston, Texas. What's up, Houston? We have Seattle, Washington, Cincinnati, Ohio, Nashville, Tennessee, Chaplin, Minnesota, Park Ridge, Illinois, Spring Grove, Illinois. What's up, Spring Grove? Wasasasu, Wisconsin. What's up, Wisconsin? Orchard City, Colorado. Berlin. Hey, man, checking in from Berlin. I love it. Cedar Lake, Indiana. Springfield, Pennsylvania. There's just a list that goes on and on. But I love this, kind of just give that shout out and let people know, hey, man, I see you. I see you. And I know you're checking out the show. So, hey, man, without further ado, as I promised, here's my interview with Domenic Certa. Hey everybody, welcome back to another awesome episode of the Beard Speaks podcast. And today I got a good friend of mine, Domenic Certa. I'm going to say it in Italian, man. How are you, Domenic?
I'm doing very well.
Awesome.
Good to be on your show, Pat.
I'm excited. Like I said earlier, I'm honored because, I had a lot of fun doing your Self-Achievement Network, and it's really cool how, we try as human beings just to search out to be better, right? Better people, and surround ourselves with good, with all the rotten that's in the world. You know what I mean? I really enjoy that, and I love that you kind of bring that in, and that's your aura, and how I see you. So it's an honor to have you.
Yeah, well, thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it.
Definitely. So, as everyone knows, the show is very, very laid back, and I got a couple of little things I wanted to. First, I want to thank you for your service. I know you were in the Navy, correct?
Yeah, that was a long time ago, dude. That was from 1977 to 81. So
Nice.
that goes back quite a ways.
It's all right. You still did it, and it's probably something that helped shape who you are today, right?
When I was a young kid, I used to hear the stories. You'll never be the same when you get out. It's going to change your outlook in life. And I'm thinking, I just want to get the GI Bill, get to college,
Right.
And get a good job. That was it.
That was your goal.
But it really didn't turn out that way. I mean, I did go to college on the GI Bill. However, while I was in, I could tell you millions of stories. But while I was in, from the very first day of boot camp, it really woke me up. And what I mean by that is that as a teenager, I was a pretty average kind of a Joe. I did most things that most teenagers do, and then as on the good side and the bad side. But as soon as I got into the military and boot camp, there was no more. That went away.
Okay.
I wasn't allowed to do that. It was to shape up or ship out. I mean, that's a real term.
Yeah.
And so, you're in the military now, and this is what it's about. And from this day forward, as long as you're in the military, in the U.S. Navy, this is the way that it's going to be. And I wasn't expecting that. And what I mean by this is the way that it's going to be, it was that my job was to ensure the safety of the American people.
Right.
And when I started to get that into my brain, it was like, holy shit,
Right.
The whole country, you know what I mean?
Right. Depending on you. Right.
They are, and not just me. But yeah, and so I always pride myself, and I'm not bragging. In the military, they grade you on a 4.0 scale. And from that first day, I was a 4.0 sailor.
Nice.
From the time that I went in to the time that I went out. I aced all my inspections, my uniforms, my blocker, my all the tests that I took, all the studying that I did. And I got 4.0 on every single thing. And I'm not shit. It was just, it's a big feat.
Yeah.
And I'm very proud of that. In life, we have a choice to either give it everything that we have or kind of, do it half-ass
it,
or
right.
do a really, do a shit show,
Yeah.
And that's kind of where things shifted for me completely. And it stayed with me for the last, I'm 65. I went in when I was 17. So. For 18.
Yeah, years. Oh, that's awesome. I mean, I know the half that my dad, that was his favorite saying, don't half-ass it, but it's pretty eye-opening, and a lot of people don't really have that experience, to join something like that or be in part of something like that opens your eyes. You see, and not to get into today's world, but you look at the youth today, or the younger generation, shall we say. And I always said to myself, man, I never want to be that guy that says, man, the kids today. But you really look at how lost the generation is, and you wonder where did they not wake up and see what we saw. And maybe it's the experiences, the life experiences and things like that brought us to where we are today,
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy.
Yeah. And I think that, there's definitely a percentage of people, male and female and other, that I have to say other now, otherwise they're going to put me in jail.
Exactly.
That have their act together. There's a percentage that are kind of, I think a larger percentage that are in the middle where they're just, they do half-ass a lot of things. And then there's another group that just don't give a shit.
Right. Yeah. It's pretty evident too. Yeah.
And it's very evident. And I know you've had lots of experience with, being a father.
Yeah.
And, I've got 4 kids and they have all been in different stages of their life and weirdness and up and down and all of them now, they're all doing good. But there was a time where I was questioning my mind. Are they going to be okay? I can't provide for them forever,
And that's, kind of when my next question was, how did having that structure, being, in the Navy really push forward as a father, right? Because being a dad too, it's like one of the things that we all talk about this time in our lives where our kids, all of a sudden the aliens come and take them away. And you're like, who are you? Where's my kid? Bring back my kid. Because they start going through these phases in life where, right. And it's kind of that's pretty much what it is. It's like, who took away my child? Who are you? Where did my kid go? So how did being, structured and being in the Navy really bring you into fatherhood? What did you use, just to kind of prepare yourself? I don't think there's any way to prepare ourselves. There's no handbook that comes out when you have a kid, right? But what did you really do to kind of try to prepare yourself?
Well, I don't know that I really prepared myself. So when I got out of the Navy, I was 21, 18, 19, 20, 21. I was 21 and just looking at going back to, going to school. And I had already had a high school baby. So I didn't really have any experience with fatherhood then.
Right.
And I had gotten married while I was in the military, and we had a child soon after I got out.
Okay.
And that turned out to be, in the beginning, great, but then a disaster. And the reason why is because I went off the rails. I got out of that structured environment, and all I wanted to do was all the wrong things.
Right. Well, at that age, yeah, exactly. Right.
Exactly.
You probably had enough of just that routine, yeah.
I did. I did a lot of the wrong things, and it landed me in divorce court.
Oh, fun
and
place
so
to
I
be.
Lost everything.
Yeah.
And I had a son. And so that was another wake up call. Like, that was my first experience as a father, and then I went off the rails. So I think that all I can say was that I really feel like I lost it. And I see like our kids these days,
Sure.
they get their act together and then they lose it. And then they get their act together and then they lose it.
Yeah.
And it's the same for me.
Right.
It's always been like that. And I think that as I've gone along the road of my life, that, I've picked up and learned along the way, and you and I both know, and the audience knows, that it's all about the choices that we make.
Yes, 100%. There's consequences for every one of our choices. Yep.
Yeah, it's that simple. So, I was making, for a better way to say it, bad choices when I was in my, mid to late 20s.
Right.
And then I've picked up along the way and have been, and I think that, as you probably also know, that we learned that lesson, and I don't want to learn that one again.
Right. Yeah. something funny, and tell me if you agree with this or not, but we're both in our 50s. You don't know shit till you're about 40 years old. What do you think?
40?
Okay, maybe later.
Actually, that I'm 64, going to be 65 in December.
Okay.
So, yeah. So, I mean, I think that I started to really get my act together in my mid 30s.
Okay. Yeah. I think that's when things start kind of waking up. Yeah.
Well, after being divorced, and I see a lot of people get divorced these days and they have kids, and then it turns into a real big problem. And those are the rough times where we realize that, or for me, I realized that, man, I made some really bad choices here.
Right.
And I really screwed things up. And I better get on the straight and narrow before, I screw up more of my life.
Right.
And so anyway, I still see that these kids these days, and I call them kids, they're people, they're humans. They make choices, but they don't know yet.
Right.
And I have compassion for them. I don't think that they're bad or wrong.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. They just don't know it yet.
They don't know it yet.
Yeah.
And so they've got to make some mistakes, and hopefully they had the right guidance. I don't know. My father was okay. I mean, in terms of a father, he was okay. I always say I was not a great father until I started to, get it that I wasn't going to, make some really bad decisions.
Right.
And choice, and like my youngest, I've got 4 kids. My youngest daughter, my youngest son. Now they're in their 30s.
Yeah.
Early 30s. And I've got a son from my first marriage. And I was in my early 20s to mid to late 20s, right? When I was married to his mom, making all these mistakes. And I could tell that when I had my second two, my 2 youngest ones, that I knew a whole lot more about being a dad than I did before.
Right.
So I think kids teach us damn near everything about life.
Yeah. Kids do turn around and teach us things. It's kind of unexpected, but as a dad, you start to learn a little bit more about yourself when you have kids, and you watch them grow up and you watch them go through these different stages. But as difficult as it is a blessing, and it's pretty awesome to watch them grow up and see them go through all of these different things, because you kind of see yourself sometimes in them. And sometimes it's scary, but it's also pretty cool,
Mm-hmm.
But go ahead.
I was going to say, I've met people along the way, and about a year ago, I met someone who was having issues with alcohol, single mom,
mm-hmm.
and let's just say she's my neighbor. Okay. So I've got another neighbor that has a little boy the same age as this mother over here. Right. And the kids are total opposite in terms of their behaviors, the way that they talk to other people, the way they interact with me.
Mm-hmm.
So here's an example. So one little boy, his mom, alcoholic kind of thing, and she gets stupid and she does mean texts and things like that. And she yells at him all the time. Do this, don't do that, stop doing that. The other mom doesn't ever say anything. She lets the kids pee on the tree. And when I look at the kids, when I interact with them, the one that the kid's peeing on the tree runs around happy-go-lucky, innocently joyful. And the other one, sometimes he's got a frown on his face.
Right.
He looks at me like I'm an alien.
Wow.
And you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And this, I think, is a tragedy that people don't know. Now, I could, I've talked to Lily, the alcoholic one, a little bit about it. she doesn't want to, no, she doesn't want to learn. She doesn't want to listen. She doesn't want to make changes.
Yeah.
She's lost. And so in my mind, in my, my world inside my body, when I was younger, in my late 20s, and, like that, I would say, I would talk bad about people.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what a bitch. Oh my God, I can't believe it. She treats her son that way. That's horrible. She needs to go to DCFS, or somebody needs to call the cops or whatever. And now it's like, I know that this woman doesn't know.
Right.
And so it's about compassion.
Yeah.
And so I don't want to add to her problems. So anytime that I, interact with her or see her, or, I just wave, how are you doing today? Hope everything's going well. I don't want to be part of her problem.
That's a good lesson to learn. I mean, I know a lot of us get pretty quick to jump the gun, judge people, or you don't know what's going on in that person's life. You walk into the grocery store and someone's having a bad day and, they're in front of you and you're like, let's go. You know what I mean? Or, but it's a good lesson. I mean, there's a lot of people going through a lot of stuff, especially nowadays, man. There's so much going on, with the state, like I said, the state of the world right now is just up in the air. There's a lot of stress, and people, you just don't know what goes on beyond closed doors, and what's going on in their life. So smile at everybody. That's what I say. I try to do. I've been going through, and I know I've been going through a lot of stuff with the court and stuff like that myself in the last couple of years, or with my daughter and stuff, and it's been a struggle, but I try to find myself where I have to just let a lot of things just go and only focus on the key things that A, are going to help my kids, B, are going to help me, and C, just keep my shit together, right? And just stay focused, because outside of that, I've learned that if I let it consume me every day, then what does it do? It affects my relationship with my wife, right? It affects my work, right? And it starts to affect me just as a person, where people will look at you and go, man, what happened to you? You're not the same anymore. You got all this anger, you got all this, animosity, and that's not who I am, right? So, and I know, like, if you run across me someday and I just had a bad day, that's not who I am, so I try to put that same outlook on other people. And it is one of the greatest lessons I think you can learn as a human being.
Mm-hmm. It's true.
Yeah,
it's true.
Definitely. So I want to ask you about, and I want you to plug your Self-Achievement Network. I know you got your podcast and your show with all that, and how did that come about? What sparked the idea for that?
That's a really good question.
There you go.
And, so, and thank you for asking. I appreciate that.
Sure.
So, when I was about 28 years old, okay, and I was telling you about my life was pretty much a mess.
Sure.
My brother, he had gone from, he had got out of high school. He did not go to college. He wanted to work on cars. He wanted to be a mechanic. And so he worked from shop to shop to shop to shop, and he got nowhere. He was dirty all the time. His hair was ragged. And one day I'm riding my motorcycle to work, which was about 40 miles away in the snow. Oh. Okay. This is how messed up my life was.
I've been there, man. Go ahead.
Did you hear the story before?
I haven't, but I've been there where I didn't have the car. I had to ride my motorcycle, but go ahead. I feel you.
Yeah. So I hadn't seen him for a while. So I thought, I'm going to stop by his house on the way home from work and see how he's doing. So I got there, and he had a haircut. He had a clean shirt on. His house was clean, because normally he's got crap everywhere. Total mess. And I'm like, what the hell happened to you?
Right.
Not to say that one is better than the other.
Sure,
right?
Some
people like to have this, different environments, but it was just like a shock to my system, because he had been so, messy.
Right.
And so we're sitting at the table talking, and I said, "So what happened? Why? What, you know?" He goes, "Well, his girlfriend at the time, Margaret," he said, "she told me that I needed to go do this seminar." And he reached over the countertop and he handed me this brochure. And at the top it said, "The experience of your life."
Huh.
That's what it said on the front. And then there was all these words and stuff on the inside. And I didn't really glance through it. And at the bottom right-hand corner, there was a price tag, $395. And in 1986, $395 today would be like a couple of grand. I don't know what it is.
Right.
So anyway, I'll make the story short. But so I glanced at the brochure, I put it down, and then we talked, and then I left. I did not take the brochure with me because I'm thinking, hey, I'm a military guy.
Right.
I'm going to get my shit together. I don't need anybody's help.
Right.
You know, I'm the Lone Ranger. So about 6 months went by, and I'm riding my motorcycle, freezing my ass off, and I'm shivering, and I'm like, what am I doing? I need to get my head together. I need to get my life together. And I thought about the brochure. I'm like, oh, the brochure. Look what happened to Chris. I need to go do this thing. So I called him up, and I said, "Chris, you still have that brochure?" He goes, "Yeah." I said, "Read me the number." So I gave him. He gave me the number. I called. I went and did this thing.
Okay.
And when I walked in, it's like walking into a dark room because my mental lights were out.
Right.
And when I walked out, my mental lights were on. The lights in the room came back on. And what I realized was that the reason why my life was so messed up is because of the choices I was making.
Yeah.
I did it to myself.
And that's the wake up call, right?
Exactly. So that's where it all started. And then so I got involved with this organization, did all their workshops and seminars, and I didn't care how much it was because that's the structure that I was missing.
Okay.
And so that's where it all started. So then I was with that organization for several years, and then I branched out on my own, and I began to do my own workshops and seminars, and then I expanded all across the United States, and I expanded into Europe, and I went over to Egypt, and then they had the revolution, the Middle East again, you know, the revolution in 2010, I think it was, or 11. And I got trapped there, and it was mayhem, you know, like the bombs blowing right now in Gaza.
Yeah.
It wasn't like that, but it could have been.
Wow.
Very easily. It could have been. So I got trapped there, and I finally got out, sleeping in the airport for 2 nights. And when I got back home, all I was drained. Like, I don't know. I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to support people. I just want to get my life and live my life, because that was another wake up call. I could have been shot and killed.
Yeah, definitely.
And so I started to do I got myself back into doing my workshops and seminars, and it started to grow again, And then the pandemic, right?
Oh, yes.
And all of a sudden, I can't do live workshops anymore because nobody can leave the house. I can't go anywhere. I can't rent a hotel room and bring people and do a workshop, right? That's how the Self-Achievement Network was born, because I was doing interviews like this, podcasts and interviews with people online, and I came up with the Self-Achievement Network. Before, when I was doing live workshops, it was called the Institute for Self-Achievement. And so when I started to do these online things, I shifted it to the Self-Achievement Network, opened a Facebook group, and I can't remember where I was, but one day I was like, I need to start interviewing people. And I came up with the person behind the passion. And that's how you got exposed to it.
Yes.
Through Nikki. She nominated you.
Yeah, I remember.
To be interviewed. So I know that was a long story, but
No, that's awesome.
that's exactly how it happened. And so I interviewed about 350 people over a course of 2 years. And now I haven't been doing it so much. What I do now is I do private training.
Okay.
For people.
So if people want some private training, where how can they get a hold of you? Where can they find you?
Domenic Certa at gmail.com. I think that's probably the best. Or they can go to Facebook and look up Self Achievement Network and send me a text that way.
Yeah, I mean, I think that, investing in yourself that way is one of the best things you can do as a person, just to learn more and learn from somebody.
Right. Well, the other thing that I do, Pat, is I've got a program that's called Life Plan 2.0. And the reason why I call it 2.0 is because everybody deserves a second chance. Because if their first plan isn't working, what they need is something that's structured to take them step by step by step. Because I can tell you right now that I bet you 95% of the people on this planet, if they decided they wanted to change a bad habit, that they would have a very difficult time doing it because they don't know how.
Yeah, they don't know how. They need structure, and willpower. It's very hard. Like I had to change a lot about my health, just eating and my diet and things like that. And it's not that easy. It really isn't as easy as people think it is.
It isn't easy. What I've learned and what I tell people, and everybody agrees, it's all about education. So an example, 1 year ago, actually it was not quite a year ago. At the beginning of this year, January, about January 4th, I had interviewed a guy from India who was all about intermittent fasting. And that was last year sometime. And then all of a sudden I'm like, I wonder what that's really about. I interviewed him and he was talking about it. And I'm kind of like, in the back of my mind, intermittent fasting, I don't really know what that is. So anyway, I started to do research, YouTube's, anything that I could find on intermittent fasting. And I found a guy on YouTube. His name is Dr. Eric Berg. And I must have watched 50 plus of his videos on a modified keto diet.
Yes, Russ, yes.
Mixed with intermittent fasting. Well, I had to educate myself first, and that's what I do. I educate people.
Right.
And I tell people, don't try to make any changes at all yet. No, you're not ready yet.
Yeah.
You need to get your brain back in that mindset of, what am I really doing to myself? Why am I putting a wrench in my gears? And begin to switch the conversation inside the brain around from, I can't to I can,
right.
And I will. So, for example, you've heard of self-deception before?
Yes. Yes.
I talk a lot about that. I have a book that's called Ultimate Game. It's all about how we deceive ourselves.
We do. I mean, we really do. I mean, we do. The biggest lie is what we tell ourselves, right?
Exactly. We deceive ourselves all the time, and we think that it's not us. We don't even, when you think about self-deception, here's an example. I'm going to exercise today for an hour. And then I'm at work. I'm thinking, okay, at 5 o'clock, I'm going to go home and I'm going to get on my treadmill or, my exercise bike or whatever and do an hour's worth of exercise. That's what I tell myself. And then 5 o'clock rolls around and I come home and all of a sudden I'm hungry.
Right.
Now I'll have a little snack.
Exactly.
Right. And then so I have a little snack and then I'm like, okay, well, I'll just flip the news on while I'm here. And next thing you know, it's 7 o'clock.
Yeah, right. And your eyes are heavy and you're like, oh shit, I didn't get my workout. Yeah, it's 100% true, man. I mean, it's what it is.
Have you done it a million times like me?
Yeah, I have. It's funny because I've gone up and down in my life with my weight. I've struggled a lot. I had cancer back in 2015, and I had to learn a lot. I learned a lot because I had Hodgkin's lymphoma, so I learned a lot about eating the right foods and what foods, staying away from sugar and things like that. And then, you start to get better, and then the next thing you know, I was going through chemo and all this other stuff, and then I started gaining weight because of the steroids they had me on. Well, eventually, I lost some of the weight, but I didn't. So I went from before cancer, I was doing amateur bodybuilding, nothing for competition, just for fun, because I got so into working out and feeling better and losing weight, because I went from originally 200 and I want to say it was like 270 pounds, somewhere around that area, and I got down to 195 pounds. It took me a couple of years, like 2.5 years. But after that, I ended up getting cancer. I had Hodgkin's lymphoma. So how pissed off was I that I just, to me at that time, the lie I told myself was I wasted all that time getting healthy. And the doctors all looked at me and said, hey, man, whatever you did these last couple of years, you just saved your life. Because now the chemo and the radiation, all this shit you got to go through is not going to be so hard on your body. You're fit. You got ready for battle. And when I looked at it like that, I was like, okay, but I did gain weight. I went back up to, I think it was like 235, and I couldn't shake the weight after the cancer. I got cleared. Everything is fine. Thank God right now, it's been 7 years cancer free, but I was at 235 pounds and could not get the rest of the weight off. Your body changes, right? So again, I thought just go back to doing what I was doing before, but I couldn't. My body wasn't accepting that, that I couldn't have gluten anymore, and I couldn't have different things because the chemotherapy, the cancer changed me. Right. So long story short, after, COVID and we're all stuck in the house, I went back, I gained more weight, and I was like 265. I think I was as far as I got, maybe a little over, you stop weighing yourself at some point. You're like, screw this. Right. But I actually do intermittent fasting and keto, and I've cut out sugar. And now it has been, this January will be 2 years I've been doing it. And I've been maintaining now at 183 pounds for the last 8 months. So I got down to 183 pounds. Oh, yeah. I got down to 183. I'm so much more comfortable on stage and rocking and playing and, moving my gear around and, just life in general, and
good for you, man.
Yeah. And at 52 years old, it's amazing, and it's all about, like you said, it's stop telling yourself the lies, you have to do it.
I didn't have to do that. I lost just under 25, I lost 18 pounds by doing intermittent fasting.
Okay.
Keto.
No, it's good. I mean, it works.
My top was 213, I think, and I hover around 190.
Okay.
So
it works. It really does. It makes, and like I said, at my age and the stress I was going through, you got to go get yourself checked out. And, my cardiologist was like, Jesus, man, what did you do? I said, keto, man. Who knew? Who knew? And, clean bill of health and, and things that, he's like, just keep doing what you're doing. So I try not to lie to myself anymore. And I try to stay focused, and then on the weekend I have a cheat night, go have a little something here or there or whatever, a little extra. If I want a burger, I'll usually get a burger without a bun. I just don't do bread anymore. I might once, like every couple of months, I might have a beef sandwich or something, but I can't do it anymore. I just can't do it anymore. And being Italian, man, I can't have pasta. I can't have pizza. I mean, I make my own pizzas with different types of crust and things like that, more keto friendly. But it's hard when you go to Nona's house and they're like, "Hey, you got to eat this, this, and that." And you're like, "I can't eat that." Awesome, man.
Oh, I totally get you, man.
Yep.
Totally understand.
Well, we're just hitting time, man. I don't want to keep it too much longer, but definitely we need to do this again. And one more time, please. I know you got your books, and then where can people find your books right now? You got them on Amazon or on a website, or because I know I see them on your Achievement Network website.
Well, here's the thing. So if I'm going to spell my name, and that way people can figure it out, because that's the only way to get to me.
Gotcha.
Like I said, or they can go on Facebook and look up Self Achievement Network. There's no dash in there.
Got it.
My name is spelled Domenic. That's my first name. My last name is Certa, spelled Certa. And if you Google me, you can click on something and find it. All my links are in the bio, link in the bio.
Yep,
kind of
awesome. And I'll throw them in the show notes so people that are interested can go ahead and just click on the links and follow and find you. And I tell everyone I talk to, it's inspiring to see people pull themselves out of, I don't want to say bad spots, but bad spots in life, right? We all hit these dark times. We all hit these, bad spots in life where you look back and go, what the heck happened? And you just, sometimes it happens like when you gain weight, you wake up one day and go, what the hell did I just do? It's just bad decisions, and they all have consequences, but it's good to invest in yourself, make your life better, because no one else is going to do it for you, man. Right.
Right. Well, I mean, you've done it. I mean, you've gone from, being overweight to being at your more ideal weight, right?
Yeah.
And you've done that a couple of times before. So you know what it's like on the other side of the bad decision.
Right.
And that's what I think is the tragedy, because most people, I see most people, because I really believe it is most people, they don't know what it's like to go for an extended period of time in the go for it mode. But once they get into that mode, they're like, I like this a lot better.
Yep. And that's what I try to tell people.
All the thousands of people that I've met and worked with, they all have said over and over, I look back at my life and I still can't figure out why I was doing that. And now that I'm not doing it, I feel so much better. My life is working. I'm making more money. My relationships are working, and to me, that's what people want when they're in the, when they're in the gutter. They think about having their life working in it, but they don't know how to get there. They don't know how to bridge that gap.
Right.
So since I feel very fortunate that my brother or his girlfriend at the time, found this thing that gave him structure. And so that's what I do. And when I start working with people, I don't try to, get them to make a bunch of changes. I start them off really slow, and begin to educate them and get them to look at how they're deceiving themselves, not judging them. And I just, have conversation with them and then just point it out. And I even tell them, I'm going to point out where I see you're deceiving yourself. And by me pointing it out, it's going to trigger something.
Right.
It's going to trigger a new thought. It's going to trigger a second thought, like I shouldn't do that, because Domenic is going to ask me about it. Right. I can't control. None of us can control people's lives.
Right.
It's impossible. They have to make their own choices.
They do.
So the education piece in the beginning is really where it's all at.
That's beautiful, man, and that's a beautiful spot to end it. So thanks, Domenic. Like I said, I'm total honored to have you on my show. We need to do this again sometime. So I'll definitely let you know when we can do this again, because it's a lot of fun. And then talking about this is it's eye opening, and people out there listening, it's 100% the lies that we tell ourselves put us into positions and lead us to where you are right now. So you look at your life right now and think, I need some changes. It's all you, man. You got to do it yourself. So awesome.
You're right. Thank you, Pat, so much.
Oh, and yeah.
Let's talk offline, and then we'll figure out another time, and I'll bring you onto my show too. And thank you so much.
Definitely. I'd love that. I'd love that. That'd be awesome.
You're doing great things, man.
Thank you.
You're doing great things.
Thank you. I appreciate it. All right, hang on, and I'll end everything here. Thanks, buddy. So there you have it. There was my interview with Domenic. I'm glad that I got the chance to do that, man. And I'm going to hope to have him back on the show again, so we can do some more in-depth. We only had a little bit of time there on the phone, so definitely want to get him back on the show. Domenic, God bless, man. Thank you very much for being here. But to all of you, please go check out his links. I'm going to put links in the show notes. Go check out his Facebook. And really, man, that was a great conversation, and then we went all over from, his military background, fatherhood, being a dad and just a parent, a good parent all the way around, right, man? And, it's nobody gives us that handbook when your kids are born and you are, especially when it's the first one, you're faced with that, what do I do here? You don't get a handbook, to be a dad, to be a mom, right? And, hey, man, we're all in this together. We got it, you got a huge responsibility raising these kids, and you only have a certain amount of time to really imprint in them what a good human being should be, right? And that's what we should all strive to do, because, to quote the 80s, man, the children are our future, right? And look at the future we've got going on, man. The world is a scary place right now. A lot of screwed up things going on, but man, be the change, right, man? We can do that. We can get out there and do that, right? And speaking of that, as we also talked about changing yourself, weight loss, just health in general. And, guys, I speak to you guys every week, and, I try to plug that in here and there too. And I know I've been promising to get in some more time to talk about, my battles and my fight with cancer and things like that, and how I overcame that, put on that weight and then lost that weight and then had to struggle back after the cancer treatment to take the weight off again. And, so coming soon, right? Some tips, tricks on that, how my diet and things have changed my life and maybe healthier and stronger than ever, man, at 52 years old, man, still kicking it, still rocking it, man. So again, www.thebeardspeakspodcast.com. Guys, go there, check out all the links, like us on Facebook and everywhere on the internet, anywhere on the internet, baby. So God bless, man. Thank you again for everyone checking in. We will see you on the next one.